Go Giants! Well, welcome to the Mind Your Movies podcast.
I'm Ryan,
I'm Shane.
and today we're talking Caught Stealing.
Yes, the new Darren Aronofsky movie just came out. We just saw it in the theater together, and we're recording in person for once. We're not on Zoom, so there's no video on the YouTube, but hopefully the audio is a little better. I don't know. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about the movie. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit without spoilers at the beginning, give our general thoughts, and then we'll get to a full spoiler discussion at the end. But yeah, I guess that's that. We can talk about the movie.
Yeah. Well, of course, famously starring Austin Butler, who's kind of getting a lot of attention these days, which is pretty cool.
Crushing it. Fade Routha.
That's right.
I may your knife chip and shatter. That's what he says, I think, right?
There you go.
May thy knife chip and shatter, something like that.
And Zoe Kravitz is probably one of the top billed people also.
Definitely. She's like yeah, I mean, it's mainly Austin Butler,
Yeah.
but she's kind of she's a primary supporting character, I guess.
Yeah.
Also really crushing it these days. A lot of great performances.
Yeah, the two of them are really like climbing that ladder, which is pretty awesome. And in this movie, kind of right away,
Climbing each other.
we get some action right there.
Yeah. The basic idea is Matt Smith, who played Doctor Who, I guess that's what he's most famous for. He plays the Austin Butler's neighbor. Austin Butler plays Hank Thompson, who's a former baseball player who had an injury, and now he's a bartender in New York City in 1998. His girlfriend is, well, sort of girlfriend, whatever, is Yvonne, played by Zoe Kravitz, and then his neighbor, Russ, played by Matt Smith, is this sort of British punk rock guy. He has to go back to England because his dad is sick, and he leaves the cat with Hank, and a bunch of people come looking for Russ, and Hank gets caught way over his head. And yeah, it goes from there. A bunch of people are after him. He's getting into trouble, and it really goes from there without any spoilers. But it's a thrilling ride, sort of an average guy stuck in extraordinary circumstances, and basically just trying to survive.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I was really impressed by this.
Yeah. And since we're not in spoilers yet, I think it's still okay to say that we were talking a little bit before the podcast and after the movie, and I mentioned After Hours. We had just kind of talked about this movie not too long ago on the podcast, and it feels, there's parts of this where it feels kind of like you're translating from one place to another, and all these weird things are happening, and most of them are unfortunate for our main character.
Yeah.
And so in that way it does feel a lot, and of course it's New York City, so in that way it does feel a lot like After Hours. And you were saying that it's actually they said that it is inspired, right?
Yes, yeah, I've seen some like interviews, and it seems like After Hours is definitely an inspiration. This is similar to After Hours, I think, but a little more violent, a little up, yeah, a little maybe more action. It's not an action movie, I wouldn't say. I'd say it's more of a thriller.
But more darkness to this movie, for sure. This movie's a little darker, it's a little grittier, it's a little you might you might be a little squeamish at times, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
There's a couple
I think
moments.
actually maybe a good comp is Green Room.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess there's the punk rock element with Russ, but just sort of like likable main characters stuck in this shitty situation, and there's very visceral action and thrills and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, like a little more realistic. Well, this movie's not always realistic with the violence, but I think for the most part, it's a pretty grounded like depiction of. It's not like John Wick, basically.
Right. Yeah, actually, that's one of my favorite things kind of right away in the movie. You very quickly learn that our main character is not like John Wick, right? He's not like the guy from Nobody, right? He's just an average guy, right? And you learn that really quick. But I think that was just really interesting to me because I was kind of expecting him to be kind of able to handle himself a little bit better than he was able to, especially at the beginning of the movie. So that was a surprise, but it was also an interesting, like, yeah, I kind of like that he's kind of just thrown in. He's an average guy just thrown into this crazy situation.
Yes, and with the After Hours connection, Griffin Dunn is in the movie. He actually plays Paul. He's basically unrecognizable. He's I didn't even recognize him until I'm just looking at the cast. I'm like, oh my, that was him. Did not put that together because he looks unrecognizable, but he's a pretty cool character. Uh, so I mean, the supporting cast is also really great. A lot of great like there are all these people after our main character after Hank, and he so there are a lot of good opportunities for supporting roles, and the side characters are very like well drawn, and they're unique and memorable. Like they're not just random little side characters that you forget about. They definitely stick in my mind. Uh, and like Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio are two Hasidic Jewish people who are involved in this whole situation. Griffin Dunn is Paul, and then Action Bronson plays Amtrak, who's like a regular at the bar that Hank works at, which is kind of cool that Action Bronson is in this. Uh, and Also, I think Paul is like the owner of the bar. I think.
Yeah.
Um, and Bad Bunny is in it. He's like a Puerto Rican sort of gangster character who's also involved in this situation. Uh, and Regina King plays a police officer. Obviously, the police get involved. Uh, so yeah, I just think all the supporting performances are really good, and the writing of all
Right.
those characters is very good. They're very distinct, and none of them come off as like caricatures, really, which is good, obviously. And a lot of the writing also like was very good. I was gonna say, I think right before we were starting recording, that there's a lot of like callbacks and things. Maybe we can get into it more in spoilers, but things get called back, and everything ties together really nicely. It's very well written, and there's like dialogue that repeats itself, kind of a thing, but not in like a whatever in a
Yeah,
good way.
in a good way, right? Like for one example that I don't think is too much of a spoiler, right, is we started the episode with "Go Giants," right, which is what he
Yes.
essentially closes off every phone call with to his mom, right, and that's
Yes.
an important piece of their story arc that you learn more about as the movie goes on, but it helps solidify kind of their relationship in a very subtle and almost nuanced way that's just so well written. Like you wouldn't really think that that's an important piece to the movie, but it turns out it kind of is. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, definitely. And just all of Hank's backstory is very crucial to him as a character, and his relationship with his mom and with baseball and all this is important to his character. And I think all that was really well done.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Um, Also, in terms of the like side characters, I agree. I think it was nice they weren't like caricatures. They were all very distinct people, which was cool. And I just wanted to point out that I think it's very funny the tagline for this on Letterboxd, which
Oh
is
yeah.
it's two Russians, two Jews, and a Puerto Rican walk into a bar,
Yeah.
um, which is crazy. The movie really does not play out as that uh, usually offensive joke begins, right? Like usually you'd expect those to be caricatures of those, but really in the movie they're not really like that, right? They obviously have sort of they all speak their own language and do their own things, but uh, it doesn't really feel like they're you know poking fun at people, right? Which is good.
Yeah, they're not real. Yeah, it's just kind of part of 90s New York City, the melting pot, all these different cultures coming together. And yeah, it never feels like there's never anything offensive about it, I don't think,
No,
in
yeah,
my opinion. But yeah, also the movie's really well shot. It's shot by Matthew Libatique, who shot a lot of Darren Aronofsky's movies. Uh, Maybe all of them. I'm not sure if it was like literally all of them, but the majority. Uh, and he also shot Highest to Lowest recently, so he's got a couple coming out in quick succession. Uh, but yeah, a lot of really great shots. The also has a good grimy 90s New York feel. Everything's dirty. The apartments are dirty, like Hank's apartment and uh, Zoe Kravitz's apartment,
right.
Yvonne, her apartment. It's very it's a lot more realistic New York City. It's not 90s like Friends New York.
Right.
It's as like grimy New York.
Right. Definitely.
Did
Which
they say which part of New York they live in? Is it
I don't think they
I think it's Manhattan.
it seems like it, but I don't think they actually say. But I mean, it certainly
Or
seems like it. Although
there's a lot of Mets fans. They could be in like Queens or
well,
Brooklyn or
we're
something.
at the stadium at one point.
Yeah, but they go out
Yeah.
to
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's not entirely clear, but it's definitely like Manhattan, maybe Queens. It does have like the overhead like rails at one point,
Right, yeah, that's not
which
really
is very Queens.
yeah, that's
Right.
not a Manhattan thing. Yeah, so they must be in like Brooklyn or
Yeah.
something. All right.
But yeah. Also, the movie's set.
Yeah.
Just a small thing about like set and world design, right? The movie's set in 1998, so uh, something important in the New York skyline is there, which is
Yeah, you
you know
do.
you don't always see that in movies, and so that's kind of interesting. You see the two towers, right? Which is
Yeah, we do see the Twin Towers at one point, and yeah,
certainly helps you know what time period you're in. I mean,
it also says 1998 right at the beginning, so that's
oh,
helpful. It says it
well,
right.
that's true too. But yeah,
But yeah, it's a thing specific to the time.
yeah, and but yeah, I mean, even just in terms of the individual sets, the design of every apartment, all the set design just really works well in the favor here. Like you were
Yeah,
saying, making it grimy and a lot like kind of grimier too than even like uh thinking of After Hours. I know that's a bit before this and a different period and a different place, but um there's the massive like art studio apartment there and all that stuff, right?
hmm.
But here it's like all the apartments are like pretty crappy and pretty thrown about and everything, right? So
Yeah,
very much feels more like what you might expect for uh people trying to live in the city.
yeah. I will say there's a side character in this named Dwayne, who is a neighbor of Hank and Russ, and I think Paul from After Hours could be Dwayne in this movie in like a separate night. Like that character seems like that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Same.
character is often like telling them to quiet down and opening the
Yeah.
door and yelling at them.
And he at one point he says they think he's a banker and he's like, "No, I'm not a banker. I make websites."
Yeah.
And they make fun of him because of it and it's like, "Oh, this guy's probably going to be rich in a couple of years." But
But that was another like interesting callback, right, in the writing and stuff, where like Zoe Kravitz and Austin Butler, when they're in the apartment and just hanging out and stuff, right? They at one point they just make the joke and they just go, "I I make websites" or
yeah.
something, right? It's like a funny little moment, but it also just like it's like yeah, they're like settled in together in the moment and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just another example of all the side character. There are other characters too further on into the movie that are memorable side characters for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Is this that our general thoughts? Should we get into Should we maybe give our ratings and then get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get into some ratings.
Well, I will say, looking at this movie, like I think this is toward the top of my rankings for 2025, and honestly, toward the top of my rankings for Darren Aronofsky's filmography.
Whoa.
He, he he's kind of a divisive director, I guess. Like a lot of people don't respond to his movies. They can be very self-serious, and I would say a lot of them don't have that much rewatchability, which is fair. His pretty much all of his movies have been dark. This I think is his most. Uh, it does get quite dark and violent, but it's also exciting, and this is probably his most crowd pleasing movie that he's ever made. And so I think this is. I mean, I think all of his movies honestly are great. I really don't think he's made a bad movie. It's just that none of them are super rewatchable. So it's kind of hard to rank his movies. But either way, this is a totally strong addition to his filmography, I think. And really, by the end of the movie, I was totally invested and having a great time just watching the chaos and basically Hank trying to survive this chaotic situation. So I was thoroughly entertained, really enjoyed it, really well made movie. I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. Strong, yeah, strong rating. I think it was great.
Awesome. Yeah. I definitely agree with everything you said. I think it is an awesome movie, very crowd pleasing, all that stuff. Um, I'm gonna stick it with a four. I was between 3.5 and four, kind of leaving the theater, but I think four. I mean, it's just a lot of fun too. Like that's kind of one of the
Yeah.
selling. It's well made, but it's also enjoyable, right? And um, I think that's a big important piece of going to the movies, right? Is watching like I watched Black Swan in IMAX only a couple weeks ago. I mentioned that on one of our episodes, and uh, it was a great, amazing movie. Um, Dark as hell,
Yeah.
crazy movie.
Yeah.
It's not quite the crowd pleasing experience that you get from something like this, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I'm sticking
I
with a 4 stars though. I think I was
Okay.
between 3.5 and four,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna land in on four. It's a little harder doing this. We
Immediately.
just want
Yeah.
so sometimes I like to sit on it, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
lay it down 4.0
Sure. Sure.
out of 5.
Um, I think this movie actually weirdly has a lot in common with Weapons, as far as like both being really well made, both being dark and like tense. This doesn't have the horror elements of Weapons, obviously, but they also have really like strong climaxes and are very entertaining while also being pretty dark and
Mm-hmm.
also being really well made. And maybe like I think Weapons is kind of a good comparison. I don't know.
Yeah, and both having like flawed characters, right,
Oh yeah,
and very real seeming
and
characters.
both kind of explore alcoholism. Like
Yes,
Hank has definitely a drinking problem in the movie, but it's sort of
he's
like
fine.
you're he's definitely not fine. But that it's almost like if you're
Yeah,
Austin Butler and you're whatever, maybe he's like 28 in the movie
yeah. So
approximately. Well, I think he has been in New York for 11 years, he said, and
you're
I
right.
assume
He moved
he
after.
moved probably when he was 18 or 19, so he's probably around 29 or 30. So he's still young. He's a hot guy. He's a bartender, he's so you don't if you're drinking every night and you're 29 and you're in New York City, people don't necessarily look at it as like alcoholism in the same way if you're like a 55-year-old downing a 12 pack in your living room every night, but it's a similar thing where he uses alcohol to deal with to avoid dealing with his problems and
Right.
and numb himself in some ways. So that's another commonality with Weapons, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good comparison. And also just like you said in like quality of filmmaking,
Yeah.
right? These are both well made but also enjoyable, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And crowd pleasing in similar ways that maybe we'll get into in the
Yes.
spoilers. But before we jump into spoilers, I can also do a rating recap since
Yeah, sure.
I'm
That'd be
speedy.
great.
Um, so it's got a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb right now. It's got a 3.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's got an 84% Rotten Tomatoes and 86% audience score. So
Nice.
pretty good altogether. Brings it into an average of 7.9 out of 10. So right pretty
Yeah.
much where we're thinking. I mean, it seems like a lot of people are enjoying it, which is good. And I
Yeah.
think if you guys are watching this just to hear our non-spoiler stuff, I think we'd both probably just recommend go out and watch it. It's
Yeah.
pretty early in theaters. I think it was it this week that it entered.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys will be hearing this obviously
On
about
Thursday.
a week
Yeah.
out from when it hit theaters. But if you haven't seen it yet at this point, I think just go and see it. It's a good time. Be prepared for a little bit of dark stuff, particularly in the beginning of the movie. But it's worth it.
100% worth it. And I will say if you are a fan of Darren Aronofsky, I think you will enjoy this. If you're not a fan of Darren Aronofsky, I think this is actually could be a lot of people's favorites if they don't like how serious and dark and sometimes depressing his movies can be, which I think might not be a totally fair characterization of all of his movies, but they definitely lean that way where they're all very serious. I think this is something that has a higher entertainment value and that even someone who's not a fan of Darren Aronofsky's movies could find their way into this and really enjoy it. If you're not a fan of Austin Butler, there's a lot of Austin Butler. He's the main character. He's the guy in the movie. And I think he does a great job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think he does really well here. But
no,
you're gonna be seeing a lot of him, which is I'm
literally,
gonna say it's a good thing. Don't worry.
you don't see any dong, so don't get your hopes up of anyone out there. But
Yeah, you don't see Dong.
you see him in his skivvies a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that we've talked
That's a
about
perfect
that,
transition.
yeah, perfect transition.
Taking off the clothes of the spoilers.
Yeah, we're officially in the spoiler section. So if you haven't seen the movie, go out there and see it. And yeah,
And if you have seen it, I just want to start with his liver has to get removed.
his
Kidney, kidney. Sorry, not
kidney.
yeah. I don't think you can get your liver removed,
No, you only
but
have. I think you only have one of those.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he has to get one of the kidneys out, because he gets beat to crap. And this is kind of what I was saying earlier, where he feels like such a real kind of just everyday person. And when he got beat the crap, like when he got so obliterated in that, I was very surprised. And then when he woke up in the hospital, I was like, oh, he's gonna like, it's gonna be his awakening. He's gonna like, bam, bam. But no, he like has a, he's like, he just had surgery. He has like rows of stitches. I mean, gotta be like over a dozen stitches in there.
Oh yeah. I
Um,
think Staples.
Staples, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so he's not going to get any better at fighting from this point on, So it's like he's truly just an average person, and I think I really like that they made this guy not, like I was saying earlier, not nobody, not John Wicky, and it's just
Yeah.
he's just thrown into this.
Yeah. This almost feels like maybe like a more realistic version of that type of story where it is someone out for revenge. Also, there's the cat in this movie and there's the dog in John Wick, and they fuck with the cat and then they got to get what's coming to them. So yeah, but it's treated in a way more realistic way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because even his decisions along the way feel very realistic in terms of like at first, the people come and then they come back and after he's been beat up by them, he doesn't want them to come back obviously. So when they come back, he calls the cops. And then um later on he's scared of the people that the cop told him to be scared of, right?
Yeah.
The
Hasidic Jewish
the Hasidic
guys.
Jewish people. So he was like, he calls the cops, and like I feel like his reactions are very real. He's not like busting down the door and trying to take
Yeah.
everyone on. And it also doesn't really seem like it's not like he's out there for revenge against the guys for beating his kidney out of him. It's like he just kind of wants to move on.
Yeah.
And then of course once I think it's pretty much once Zoe Kravitz gets killed.
Yeah. That's when things change.
Yeah. And I think that feels like a very real progression, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like he doesn't really care, he just wants to be safe, right? And his apartment's right next door to this guy who's clearly getting some sketchy people visiting him. But then it's like, okay, well now he's dragged into this and he wants to figure out what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think to transition into that, I think that Yvonne getting killed was not my favorite part of the movie. Maybe just because of the trope of a female character getting killed in order to give our male character like motivation, or I think what do they call it with like comic books? It's like refrigerating. I think there's like a comic book where a female character gets like killed in a refrigerator or something.
Interesting.
And so that's the terminology they use for like killing off a female character to motivate
Right.
the male main
As the
character.
motivation.
Yeah. So that is like a not very good trope that this movie does fall into. And I could definitely see that annoying some people, especially because she is like a very likable character, and I it would have been nice if she was still in the movies in some ways, or maybe like I don't know. I just think there may have been other ways to do it without falling into that trope. Maybe even, you know, Hank can kind of be an asshole and he has his issues. Like even if she just like dumped him and was out of the movie in a way, so he's still on his own, but she doesn't necessarily get killed off.
Yeah.
But still, I think despite it being that trope, it did effectively make me empathize with Hank a lot, and like his reaction to it. I think maybe it's more well done than a this is typically because he's really like emotionally distraught over it. Like after it happens, he's like in a haze and he can barely speak. He's like shocked, and you can tell how much it is impacting him emotionally. So maybe that's an element of that makes it not a little better than usual. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, from this point out, like it still does work as his motivation. There's also the secondary motivation, in a more lighthearted moment of his cat. He's that's kind of
Well,
what starts the
Russ's cat.
movie.
Russ's
Yeah,
cat.
Russ's cat. Russ obviously at the beginning of the movie asked him to watch the cat, and he takes that very seriously.
Mm.
He is committed to keeping this cat safe.
Well, he doesn't really want the cat at first. He's a dog person. He doesn't even like
Yeah.
cats. But Yvonne likes the cat,
Oh, you're
and
right.
I think he comes to like the cat more over time. But I think also maybe it's a reminder of her
Mm,
uh, through the cat
that
kind
makes
of a thing.
sense. That makes sense, definitely. Um, and also that let's just the guy kicks a cat. That's crazy. Not the
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
one of the
The Russian guy,
one of
the
the Russian
Russian, the
guys.
smaller Russian guy.
The guy that the guy's crazy.
Yeah, with he has like a crazy like birthmark on the side of his head.
Yeah,
Very unique look.
yeah, um, yeah. So I mean, I think his motivations. I think that while it might be a little like kind of a bad trope, but I think it does work well here still, regardless. And I guess like one of the things that leads into obviously is him kind of figuring out what to do, because I feel like once that happens he is motivated at this point, but he's still not like a superhero. He's not like John Wick where he can just like go to his couch and open it up and there's like 10 guns and figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So he has to he's actually really lucky that like Russ ends up coming back at like just the right time,
Mm.
because then he can figure out from Russ where the money is,
Yeah.
and then that's really what opens up the door of Narnia, and also the door of possibilities for
Yeah.
him to figure out, you know, does he try to side with Roman, the cop, right? Does he think that she might be the best bet? Does he think that um uh the Russian people might be that, who does he
The
think
Jewish
he should
people
trust?
really. He doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't really
Yeah.
think about the Russian people in that way, I guess. But
Nah, fuck those guys.
yeah, they beat him up.
Yeah, they did, and they're clearly assholes. They also torture him. I thought it was a
Yeah.
very
Oh,
cool twist that Regina King, Detective Roman,
yeah,
is working with them and involved. She's not just a cop.
that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a. I was not expecting that. Um, I just thought she'd be the cop in the situation, but she's like a dirty cop who also wants to get the money. So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was, and I thought she was very effective at being a villain.
Yeah. All the villain. I mean, most of the people in this movie are villains.
Yeah,
And all the villains in this movie, I think, do really well at being a very scary villain.
yeah.
Of like the Russian guys torturing him, the Puerto Rican guy just being like kind of very intimidating.
Also
Right?
threatening him to
Yeah.
kill him, and he's involved in the torture scene also.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't directly torture, but he's very involved.
He's leading
Yeah.
the torturing kind of a thing.
Yeah. He has a very controlling presence too.
Yeah,
Um, and then obviously with the Hasidic Jewish people being one, I think they're kind of built up. You're kind of supposed to expect them to be kind of the worst of the worst because of what the cop says earlier on. She tells him that,
yeah.
and
Well, they kind of are.
yeah, right. So you're kind of expecting
It
it.
kind of like double twists you.
Yeah, because then they're kind of chill when you first meet them. You know?
Well, kind of. But then when they speak, I think it's
Oh
Hebrew
yeah,
to each other. They're like, "Should we just kill this
Yiddish.
guy?" Or
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know, whatever they're speaking.
yeah,
Uh, yeah. So they're playing nice, but they're not really.
yeah. And then they like shoot up a place in public. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was daytime. I think it was daytime.
Broad
It was
daylight.
like broad daylight.
There are kids playing baseball in the street over.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the street.
Yeah. And which is another thing about this. So one, the villains are terrifying.
Yes.
It feels like there's no remorse in them, right? All that. Number two, New York is a terrible place. That's what I'm taking out of this movie. There's two things I've learned here. One, New York, terrible. Never do. Number two, always wear your seatbelt.
Yeah.
That's a big part of this movie.
Definitely got to wear your seatbelt. Yes, for sure.
So obviously, Austin Butler accidentally kills his friend and
Yeah.
injures his knee in the drunk driving accident, but he was wearing his seatbelt, which is good, so he survived.
Yeah.
And then when he's at the very end, the very end of the movie, he's driving around with the Hasidic Jewish people, and he's driving, and he's got his seatbelt on. He even tells them to put him on, but they don't. They just tell him, get out of here. And then he realizes that they're the ones that killed Zoe Kravitz because
Yeah.
they show him the lighter, the
Mhm.
uh,
The gun
another
lighter.
callback, right?
Yeah.
Um, and he just rams into a fucking steel pole, kills them, and his seatbelt keeps him almost entirely safe. Which,
Oh, he gets fucked up. He's pretty fucked up. The cat's fine, thank God.
yeah,
Yeah.
this might be the best seatbelt ad movie of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, show this to every high
And
schooler.
also the airbag goes off, so that certainly
I
helped
don't
him.
think the airbag went off.
It went off.
It did?
100% certain it went off.
Hmm. Okay. I
Yeah.
trust you. I trust you.
It definitely went off. I could see it. It was right
All
there.
right.
Uh, yeah, I thought another cool part of the movie is when so Colorado is played by Bad Bunny. He's the Puerto Rican sort of gangster guy, and him, the two Russian guys, and the cop all come. Well, Hank goes into the bar to try to find his key. They don't know where the key is, but on the way there, the cop tells the Puerto Rican. Well, okay, this is a little bit convoluted to explain. Hank thinks the Puerto Rican guy, Colorado, killed Yvonne. The cop tells him that Colorado doesn't have the balls to pull the trigger. So, and then she says that with Colorado in the car. And so she's sort of
Antagonist.
denigrate. Yes, exactly. And she has sort of hurt his ego a little bit. And so when they get into the bar, there's a confrontation, and he ends up killing Action Bronson's character. And I don't know if he would have killed that character unless the cop had said that, you know? So even like the side characters who their motive, like you can kind of see their motivations and their psychology in the movie a little bit, and I appreciated that aspect of it. And then obviously when she just kills him, that was also surprising. So
Yeah.
the movie's very surprising. It's twisty and turny, and like that's part of what keeps it exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the twists and turns feel very authentic. It doesn't feel like you're being
Yeah,
like it's not like the movie's just lying to you and then swapping halfway through.
yeah,
Every twist and turn feels earned,
yeah,
right? Which is awesome. And and yeah, you mentioned also that it was like convoluted to explain that piece. And it makes me think that actually this movie as a whole,
oh yeah,
if you tried to explain like linearly what happens, um that'd be insane.
yeah. It's very complicated, the situation with all the intertwining characters. I mean,
But
it's
then
very
she turns out to be bad, and he
Yeah,
turns out to actually kill the guy, and then she kills him, and then
yeah. Yeah, and then that leads to the scene with Action Bronson getting killed. That leads to Paul in the with the safe, and he pulls out the gun. That was awesome.
that was
I
cool.
loved that.
He
Uh,
was very clever.
yes, acting like the safe. Oh, only I can do it. Like he did a very good job playing that off. Uh, yeah, he was just a really cool character,
Yeah,
Paul. So Griffin Dunn was great in this.
yeah. But again, similar to in After Hours, every one of these little interactions really doesn't end up helping him. You know, I mean,
Mm.
until pretty close to the end, right? Like he thinks that maybe it turns out this guy doesn't have the key, and then this guy tries to help with the shotgun from the safe, and he ends up just dying, and then that's how most of this movie happens. I feel like he's like in a bad situation. The guys that he's with do not end up helping. Next bad situation.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. Everyone's after him. He's and also really cool sort of a cameo at the end, I guess, but not really because I guess Laura Dern was the voice of his mom the whole time, which I did not clock
Yeah,
over
me
the
either.
phone. But then at the end, very end of the movie, that we see Laura Dern as his mom. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Also, kind of makes sense. Austin Butler would have a hot mom. Like, yeah, if you're a hot guy, you probably have a hot mom, right? I mean, so yeah, kind of cool that that Laura Dern had her little cameo in the movie,
Yeah.
and I like that like the movie is so dark and portrays the world as a very pretty horrible place in general. I think, but the ending is very hopeful, and Hank, even though he's you know done horrible things, either mainly unintentionally. Um, I like that he finds his redemption and like is able to grow as a character, and there are a lot of like he's able to drive again, and he ends up driving, and you know, and what's another? There's something right before he drives where his character well, he goes to the batting cages, so he
Hmm.
plays baseball again. Like there, you see his character growing, and then by the end of the movie, I thought the ending was also very funny of him impersonating
Yeah,
Russ
that was
and
great.
doing his. Well, actually, wait, is Austin Butler British?
Uh,
Hold on.
that's a good question. I don't know.
No, he's American.
Yeah,
I don't know
that
why I
makes
thought
more
he was
sense.
British, but he's doing a pretty good British accent.
Yeah,
It was pretty convincing.
yeah, very funny at the end, and also the passport picture really doesn't look anything like him, but because of course the mohawk and the jack, and
And
he
his
just
face is fucked up
his
from
yeah,
all.
he's all messed up.
Yeah,
So it's like yeah, like okay, like
yeah,
just go for it,
yeah. But he has, yeah, the mohawk is very funny.
yeah. Yeah, the ending really does wrap it all up in a very satisfying way
Mhm.
where, he ends up with half the money, his mom ends up with half the money.
Yep.
He's safe away for a long time and
Yeah.
and I think he's in
And
Mexico at
he's
the
in
end.
Tulum, which is the
Oh,
cops. Her whole goal,
right.
she wants to get the money so she can get out. She grew up in the projects and she's worked in the city her whole life. She wants to get out, and he ends up in Tulum. Which
And he's literally watching baseball at the end, although he turns it off
exactly,
as if
right before Barry Bonds is about to hit probably a home run into the bay. He turns off the TV and he sees the ocean and he sort of moves on with
yeah.
his life, which is a really beautiful ending.
Yeah.
Almost like Shawshank-ish type of ending, and
Yeah.
ending on the beach. The characters have been through all the shit, and well, and they have a nice ending. I don't know, it's nice. I like that it's a nice ending. Also, I think a great element of this movie is that it's all just a movie.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking about John Wick and all that, and I do love the John Wick series, but also it is a franchise at this point to where each movie is not just a self-contained thing. And this is just a movie made for adults that is enjoyable. It's dark. It doesn't have to appeal to kids or teenagers or anything like that. And uh, it's pretty morally complicated, I think people could
Yeah.
have different opinions about characters morally and stuff like that. But it's just a movie. You watch it and you get a full satisfying story, and there's no, oh, we're gonna have a spin-off with this character, and I feel like so many movies are like that these days.
Hmm.
And it's nice to just watch a movie and have a great experience, have a great story that's, you know, entertaining and also makes you think, makes you feel, and then that's it. That's the movie. It's a movie. It's great.
Yeah, that's all you need. I mean, I think there is this like, I think I mean also a lot of movies that are coming out are like Jurassic World Rebirth and Freakier Friday and Zootopia 2. Zootopia 2
Are
might
they
be a little
doing that?
started, but yeah, Zootopia is getting a second. But like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, Bad Guys 2, right? Like everything that comes at like not everything. There's a lot of great original concepts, but I think there's another reason a good comparison to Weapons is like these are two. I know Weapons actually will end up getting
Weapons might have a sequel, which is funny. But
but
I was thinking Companion
yeah,
as a
Companion.
just a movie that you watch and it's like, well, that was awesome, and also it's a complete thing. You don't feel the need to have spin-offs and sequels and all that.
Yeah, it's all wrapped up at the end. It's uh, even like Weapons we were talking about. You know, it's we'll be curious how they actually approach making another thing in that world, right?
Yeah,
Because yeah, whatever. But um, so it's nice to just have an original concept that from beginning to end of hopefully under 2 hours it works,
yeah.
and this I think was like an hour and uh maybe
Hour
50
40.
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there. Yeah,
And so like I think that's another thing that I appreciate about this and Weapons is they're not going 2.5 hours and two
yeah,
hours and 45 minutes. Not like those aren't good movies. That there's many good movies that are that
yeah.
long.
But it can be unnecessary.
Yeah, and it can be nice just to kind of sit down for like a less than 2 hour piece. I mean, I'm kind of rambling at this point. This doesn't have anything to do with the movie anymore, but
No,
like
no,
yeah,
I get it, and we're kind of like. I mean, I think another good example of this earlier this year was Black Bag,
yeah,
another movie made for adults. It's an entertaining thing. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and it also doesn't like necessarily hold your hand. It has a complicated plot, but uh, yeah, it's just an enjoyable movie, and I'm glad that we're still getting some of these, even though a lot of the big movies are franchise stuff and whatever. But yeah, I was very entertained by this. Very, and yeah, it's entertaining. It's emotionally engaging. It's intellectually engaging. It's really well made, well shot. There are some really beautiful shots in this.
Yeah, and some like there's
No,
one really early on when the it's focused on the phone, and there's the missing message or the message on the phone when they're
mm,
walking into the apartment, and they're kind of blurred in the background, but the phone, and then he comes up and he presses the button, and you hear his mom on the other line of the phone,
mm,
and I think it does a really good job at emphasizing like the importance of his communication with his mom all the time
yeah,
really early on, and just the focus on the phone with everything else in the background. It's like what they're doing is secondary, right?
yeah.
So
And the movie is the color palette is a little bit gray, but I think it works for the setting, the '90s New York gritty setting. I think
yeah,
the grayish color palette really works. Also, the scene at Shea Stadium is awesome. Great
yeah,
scene. Also, kind of reminded me of Highest to Lowest of being on a train around a New York sports situation. Uh, but yeah, that was a really cool scene, and the scene leading up to it, the chase at like in Flushing Gardens, Flushing Park, whatever it was called.
hmm
Uh, Either way, they're in Flushing, which is right near the stadium.
yeah,
So yeah, that
yeah,
that that was a cool part of the movie.
yeah. Also, another piece, just going back to like, uh, there's a lot of New York hate here. in
Is
or
there?
maybe not hate, but showing it in a particular light, where like there's a dead guy on the subway and nobody really notices.
Yeah,
You know, that Austin Butler is able to just point out that the guys following him are wearing his hat, which is kind of funny. But the
the Giants hat.
Giants hat, and everyone starts. Some guys hit him with a pizza box.
They
And
hit him,
everyone,
throw popcorn.
yeah,
They're kind of messing with him. Yeah,
right, and
so
that's
they can
how
get
they're
away.
able to get away, which is cool. But um, yeah, a lot of like just is this a place I want to go visit? Like don't wear my hat there, not my Giants hat.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough and tumble. I mean, if you're gonna wear another hat, Giants are pretty good because the Giants were in New York, so
Yeah,
there probably should be some old men in the '90s that would be like, "Oh, I remember Willie Mays and the New York Giants."
just don't wear Red Sox.
Yeah,
I
then
think they
you'll
get
get
fucked.
fucked up. Yeah,
Yeah,
1998 Red Sox. You
end up in the hospital with a kidney missing.
yeah, stay away.
Um,
Also, one
yeah,
thing I wanted to say, the soundtrack is done by Idols, the British sort of post-punk band, which I really like that band. And it's cool. The music is really well done. It's like propulsive, keeps the energy up. And I think it was really well done. And it's cool that they did like a whole movie soundtrack.
yeah.
So,
Also, one thing I noticed with the soundtrack, and well, I guess more with the score, but is when um, Russ is walking and talking. Um, a lot of the scenes with Russ, I'm thinking particularly of when they get to the storage unit area and he's walking. It feels like he's talking and walking in like the same beat of the score.
oh,
And it
interesting.
doesn't feel like Austin Butler's doing that. So it just kind of feels like maybe because he's supposed to have that like aesthetic that he is like so in tune with the like atmosphere of that music. Like even though the
Mm.
music's obviously not
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
scene,
I know
right?
what you
But
mean.
so that was like an
Yeah.
interest. I don't know if that was just me thinking too much or not.
Hey,
Maybe that wasn't there, but
that's cool. Hey, if you see it there, it's there.
yeah, there.
There's also a part where they're driving. Well, they get into the car and it's Russ's car, and his music starts playing, and Austin Butler immediately turns it off because Austin Butler's a little bit more of all American. He likes baseball and he calls his mom, and he's a good all American boy, but also an alcoholic in New York City, and so maybe it's a little bit of deconstruction of that character. But my point is, uh, he turns off the music, and Russ says, "Hey, that's the Idols." And I don't know
Oh,
if he meant Idols, the band who did the soundtrack. If that is what he meant, they didn't exist in 1998. So I don't know if that's just a joke or if this is like an alternate reality or what. Or I don't know if he's maybe referencing a different band that is like the Idols, IDOLS, or the Idols or the something Idols. I don't know. If anyone out there is some 90s punk genius and you have an answer for me, because Idols the band is IDLES, and it's not the Idols. It's just Idols. So I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah,
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but that's funny.
yeah.
Um, Also, one thing I wanted to bring up is just the. I know we're kind of bouncing around a lot, guys. Sorry, we're just kind of thinking of these scenes as we're remembering from it.
I
But
wanted to say about Idols.
yeah, oh yeah,
I
sorry.
saw them in Boston.
Oh
The
shoot,
Brighton Music Hall.
that's cool.
Saw them. Pretty small show. Pretty awesome. Very awesome. Also didn't wear head like earplugs. Fucked up my left ear. My left ear was fucked for like literally years because I was right next to a speaker. That was my own fault. But it was an awesome show. So shout out to
Nice.
Idols. They're a cool band.
Yeah, that's cool. Also, seeing it in Boston, pretty rad. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Brighton Music Hall, which is in Alston, which is funny.
Yeah. Listen. Boston, its naming of things is not the best all the time. But
No, or the roads. The roads
roads
are
are
all
terrible.
based on like old paths and stuff like that, so it's a little bit chaotic.
yeah, and then also the main highway. If anyone here is from Boston, like we're both pretty close to Boston, and if anyone here is from Boston, you guys know how terrible the highways are getting around or into the city. It's oh man, it's like it's because they're built so late after the city was already established. But this has nothing
Yeah.
to do with New York.
Yeah.
But yeah. But one thing in the movie was when he has lost his kidney, he's not allowed to drink. He's told that very clearly.
Yes.
And he's at the bar trying to make some deal about the key or whatever.
He's trying to hide his key, I believe.
Okay, he's trying to hide the key. So he goes to see his boss and friend. Yeah. And they encourage him to take one shot. You know, that's like, oh yeah, one shot. And he's like, just one. And then, of course, the next scene, he's dancing on a pool table and whatever.
Shit-faced.
Yeah, and he's trashed, right? And
yeah, he only has one kidney, so he's even more fucked up than he would usually get.
Right. And but that scene when he's like, it feels so tense when he's about to take that shot, when he's like he's saying no at first and all that, and it's like it's like you know, you really just want to tell the person not to make that terrible decision, right? Yeah. And also it's a stupid decision. It fucks him up later. You know?
Oh yeah,
he
for
loses
sure.
the key and all this stuff, right?
But, oh yeah, he throws up on his on the window. And he takes he like gets down to his skivvies and has to go up, and it's a disaster.
Yeah.
But then it pays off at the end when he's at the bar in Tulum and he asks if he wants like anything to drink, and he just gets a club soda.
Yeah.
And so there you go. You have that character growth.
Yeah, but that scene particularly made me feel so. Other than the torture scenes, that was probably the most tense scene for me. Of like, oh no, dude.
Yeah.
Oh. You know.
But it's interesting because like he has the drink and then like he's having fun.
Yeah.
And the movie like kind of acknowledges that this is fun at first, and then you see it how fucked up he is, and yeah, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, because like I mean, I imagine he's a kind of. It seems like he's kind of a big drinker. You know, when he loses his kidney, they dump. It's a very comedic scene of them opening the fridge and then the freezer and then the cabinet.
Oh yeah,
he's emptying it from the dresser. Even he pulls them out of the dresser.
It's a little comedic, but it is like sad at a certain point to where at first it's funny because Zoe Kravitz opens the refrigerator and it's all beer. And he's like, oh, in case I ever have guests or whatever. And she opens the freezer and he's got like vodka in the freezer. And it's like, all right, well, it's whatever. He's a 28 bachelor in his 20s. It's funny. And then after she leaves, he goes and like in his dresser, in like the cabinets, like everywhere. There's just booze hid everywhere. And you're like, oh, wow, this guy has like a real problem.
Yeah. And so, you know, thinking of, with that in context of him being offered the shot and kind of antagonized to take it, you know, it's impossible for him to turn it down. I feel like in that moment, you know, I mean, which you know, at the end, like you said, he learned, right?
Yeah,
club soda, but
yeah, he has the character growth. And this movie, like maybe for some people it's like everything's tied up a little too neatly, but I think it really worked. Maybe it's just that we don't get that many movies like this anymore. At least it doesn't seem like we do. So I was thoroughly I enjoyed it. It wasn't a problem for me. But.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, you know, I think it is just wrapped up really nice. I mean, one contrast, right, with like weapons. I don't know why we're comparing it so much to Weapons, but you know, it's another thing recently that kind of has similar vibes. And in Weapons, it's kind of wrapped up neatly, but also like half the kids are wait.
Well,
Sorry.
It's not.
Watch our
It
weapons
doesn't matter.
episode.
Yeah, we won't spoil it.
But watch our weapons
We
episode.
it's but Weapons has the supernatural
Yeah.
elements, and there's a lot of things left unanswered, which
Right.
I think worked for that movie.
Right.
Uh, and then I think this works for this movie, and it's just a little slightly different approach.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can't help but be satisfied with him just hanging out on the beach at the end,
Yeah.
and turning off the game, ordering club soda, everything. He's starting a new life.
yes, exactly.
Literally.
And Laura Dern got to like $2 million. So
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, good for her. So yeah, I guess that's that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much. I mean, it's just a pretty awesome experience. I mean, I think full and through, it starts off really dark, of course, gets a lot more lighthearted and intense. Not intense, but more.
I found the ending, like all the characters getting their comeuppance.
Yeah.
I found very satisfying.
Yeah.
These horrible characters getting, when the Hasids kill the cop. I was like, I'm basically cackling in my chair, like, ha, ha, she got it, like that's what you get. And then when he sends the Hasids through the car and they're dead, and the guy's like neck is slit open, I'm like, ha, 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 good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're dead. You killed his girlfriend. You're evil. So it's kind of maybe a dark a dark pleasure I get out of these horrible characters getting their comeuppance.
I think that's the point, right?
I think so.
In a way, it's very similar to kind of, well, actually, one thing real quick. The one Russian guy, he's not dead.
That was a little disappointing to me because I liked how it was sort of a subversion of your expectations where he just kind of like gives him a 1-2 and knocks him out. But I was also kind of like, you have a baseball bat right there. Like, give him one in the head for the cat, give him an extra little something. But I guess
this guy's like the worst. He's the guy that kicks the cat, beats the shit out of the guy in the beginning, loses his kidney. I mean, he should have died. Is that okay? Am I allowed to say that?
He could.
He should have died.
I mean, he could be dead. Knocked out, could have hit his head on the concrete. He could be dead.
Could have.
I mean, look at fucking Russ. He got hit in the head a couple times and he ended up dying.
Yeah, that was
People do die from getting hit in the head and landing on concrete. That happens. Normally it's the back of the head though. This guy kind of lands on his side.
Yeah. I did like the realism too of like the guy got hit in the head with a baseball bat one time and slowly he dies.
Well, yeah, and he had that big lump on his forehead. Yeah,
that was intense.
Yeah, it also was very funny. The big Russian guy getting killed with the machine gun, like in that was pretty funny. Yeah,
straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was I think the ending was very satisfying. I think I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think the movie was just pretty awesome. I think there's very few things I think this year that were as satisfying in terms of the ending. I think thinking of this year, I think I've got some movies that I think are solidly above it. Things like The Life of Chuck, Warfare, but those aren't like well, Life of Chuck I'll rewatch all year, but they're not like particularly like satisfying in a way, in the same way as like something like this where at the end like everything's wrapped up nice.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Also wanted to shout out Carol Kane, who plays Bubby, who's like the Acidic guy's mother, I guess, or I think mother. They seem pretty old. I don't think it's their grandmother. Yeah, she's really good in this, and just a very small role. And Tonic plays Bud the cat. Tonic is a cat, and he's really good.
Yeah,
he's really cute. A lot of nice shots of the cat, little reaction shots every once in a while. Some good cat cinema here. And I mean, we're already at the end of the review, so it doesn't really matter. But if anyone out there was concerned about the cat's well-being, I think the cat is in peril a couple times, but the cat does survive. It's very nice. So I think if there are any cat lovers in your life, maybe they will like this movie.
Yeah.
And the cat being in peril might just make them even more involved.
Yeah, it's a good motivation. Yeah. Also, I think Bubby in Yiddish means grandmother. So might be their... it seems like she would be much older to be their grandmother.
She could maybe just the grandmother to their kids.
Yeah, they just call her Bubby.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm
each
not
other.
sure.
Kind of weird, but...
Yeah, maybe they're not as old. I mean, I don't know. But Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio are both pretty old.
Yeah.
They're probably both at least in their 50s, maybe 60.
Yeah.
let's see. Vincent D'Onofrio was born in 59, so he's like 66. Liev Schreiber, born in 67, so he's
Younger, but still.
58. So I
So
was right. I was basically
was
right on the money. That was a really good guess by me.
um
Not that I mean, it was not that it was that hard to guess that. I guess if I said 50s, maybe 60s, they were clearly not in their 40s and they're clearly not in their 70s. So it's kind of obvious. Like, it wasn't actually that good of a guess.
you picked 20 years.
Yeah, out of like a possible 100, and there's no way they could be like 80 of
Possible
them.
100, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you narrow out 80 of them, you're good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah, yeah, I mean, great movie. Obviously, I think everyone here, I hope you've all seen it since this is the spoiler section. But I think, hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Anything else to say on your side, Shane?
No, I think this is a good one to see in the theater.
Yeah.
I think it's worth seeing in a theater. The cinematography, see it on a big screen. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with Caught Stealing. If you guys have anything you wanted to say about Caught Stealing, let us know.
Yep. You know where to find us. Our Reddit is a great place to go and start those types of conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got some people in there now, which is awesome.
r/mind your movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feel free to start any conversations in there about movies. It doesn't have to be just our podcast, but also with this movie being fairly new, we'd love to see what people think about it on there. Otherwise, make sure to follow us on all those different social medias. We've got our Instagram, our Letterboxd, our Blue Sky, all that. Also, just whatever streaming app you're using, drop us a like or a 5 stars or whatever you want to do, and leave us a comment if you're into that type of stuff.
100%. And our letterbox is Mind Your Movies, I think, all one word. So go check it out, and we have our links to everything.
Yeah, and our personal links, of course. So
yeah.
You can see. Sometimes we write a little bit more about some movies. Sometimes we have cool lists on there. I know Shane has some cool lists on his personal ones.
No.
Oh, maybe not.
They're not that cool.
But
I just have a lot of them.
Yeah, well, check out all of our stuff. But we'll be excited to see you guys in the next one. And
yeah, what's our next episode? We're doing stop motion.
Stop motion.
Yeah.
We picked Wolf House
and Mad God.
It's gonna be a
crazy movies. Yeah.
Dark episode.
A couple crazy movies, so that'll be fun. Subscribe and watch the movies. Maybe watch the movies in advance of next week's episode.
Yeah, just so you guys are in there with us.
Yeah, they're both short too.
So yeah, that's a great thing about stop motion. It takes a long time to make.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Make a long movie.
They're like, oh, this is gonna be for 5 extra minutes. It takes like 6 months to make it. So yeah. All right, cool.
All right.
Well, don't forget to mind your movies.